guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're back on one of my typical topics, unfortunately, in the topic we're going to talk about in a second, which we'll get to. Before we start, I just want to underline how important it is to use the correct terms when you're describing an occurrence. I think we've all witnessed an event in our lives where someone used the wrong term and it caused chaos, misunderstanding, potentially hurt feelings just because of the words they chose to use. So when we talk about this case, I really want to underline the impact of using certain terms, which we'll get into in a second. But before we do that, I did want to thank today's sponsor, which is Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. Explore new skills, develop existing interests, and get lost in creativity. Skillshare offers membership with meaning. You can connect with the support of fellow creatives and enter a community of encouragement, communication, and inspiration. So whether you're looking to fend off boredom, focus on self-care through creativity, or join a similarly creative community, Skillshare is the place for you to keep learning. Personally, I've been enjoying a lot of artistic style content. A course I've enjoyed is titled iPad Illustrations, Line Drawing Essentials for Fun, Flexible Art by Robert Jenneret III. I specifically chose this course because it's been a long time that I've wanted to really invest in learning how to draw on my iPad, but it's been very overwhelming as I don't really even know where to start, so this course was very useful. The first 1,000 people who click the link in my description box will get a free trial of Skillshare premium membership, and after that, it's only around $10 a month. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Exflight attendant serves just a week in jail for sex with 15-year-old. Do you see what I mean about terms that are being used? And we see this all the time with young male victims. It'll say have sex when the reality is they're minors. You can't have sex with them. It's not sex if they can't consent, and if they're a minor, they can't consent. So as much as certain people think these two terms are interchangeable, which is absolutely wild to me, it really does have a damaging effect because male victims are often not taken seriously to begin with, let alone if the article itself is going to belittle them by saying have sex with. It's rape. That's all there is to it. Just because it's a woman, we're not going down that route. You guys know I've screamed about it enough times, but this is ridiculous. A former flight attendant had sex with a 15-year-old boy at an Australian school where she worked, but spent just a week behind bars because she's considered at low risk for reoffending, according to a report. I don't even know where to start with this one. I truly do not even know where to begin to try to do the mental gymnastics that obviously the people who were in charge of releasing her were doing, because you raped a 15-year-old. They're gonna be traumatized with that for a very long time, if not for life. And you get 1 week in jail because the risk of you reoffending is low. So what we're saying here is essentially is she's probably not going to reoffend based on no information at all. So we're just going to take the risk. Like we're just going to trust a woman who had no problems raping a child. We're going to trust her to go back into society and not reoffend. I hate everything. I truly, truly loathe this planet with the passion of 1,000 burning suns. Like, I don't understand how anyone comes to this conclusion. Melissa Nosti, 33, who lives in a suburb of Sydney, pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 18 months in the slammer for having sex with the student at the school where she worked in 2010, the Sun reported. Again, wasn't sex. The former Tiger Air flight attendant made a video appearance in court from the Silverwater lockup as her lawyer made a bail appeal that she was at low risk for engaging in similar behavior again based on a doctor's assessment. She has had an employment history after this. She was in the airline industry, the lawyer said. Her employer history, not relevant. Truly, nobody cares if she was an airline attendant, if she was a teacher, if she was a painter. Like, nobody asked, nobody cares, sis. Truly not. That is not the main focus here. Also, how would a doctor assess the amount of risk? Like, I can understand a doctor thinking someone might reoffend, someone might not, but at the same time, 1 week? Nosti has been banned from being in the company of anyone under age 16 and is not allowed to contact the victim or anyone at the airline. But being banned from being around anyone who's 16 when you're 33? When you're 33, the only people you should be hanging around with that are 16 are family members or people that you might be a mentor for. But I don't know anyone, even my own age, 27 as of Sunday. I would never even gravitate towards being around a 16-year-old unless it was in a mentorship role or if it was someone I'm related to. But aside from that, there's not really all that much you have in common with someone that you have over a 10-year difference with, especially at such a significant time such as adolescence. So it's pretty normal for 33-year-olds to not hang out with 16-year-olds, but I guess you had to be banned for it, and you're so low risk that you have to be banned from it, which is already an interesting contrast there. But there's another article that also mentions a little bit of extra information, and it says, Magistrate Susan Horan said a victim impact statement from Nosty's victim was quote-unquote compelling before granting her bail. Her bail conditions including owning one mobile phone and to give the password to police when asked, not allowed to contact the victim or anyone under the age of 16, as we already know. But the fact that she has to give the password to the police, it's like, so she's so low risk that you guys are taking all of these precautions, which granted, I'm happy about, but it's also like, if you're taking all these precautions, how low risk is the person? Maybe they're just covering their bases, but it's hard for me to believe that they actually think she's that low risk. Also because how many times have we heard stories of essentially pedophiles or ephebophiles? I always butcher the word, but how many times have we seen a one-time offender with minors? I'm sorry, I don't believe it. Like, I don't believe that there are that many one-time offenders, whether it's getting child pornography online or doing things in real life. I don't really recall any case where there's just a one-time offender. So the low risk of reoffense doesn't mean anything to me, but regardless. One thing that I am frustrated by, though, is the selection of pictures, because most of the time when you have a criminal of sorts, they will post a mugshot or, you know, whatever kind of sober picture you can find. Like, most of the time they won't post pictures of a criminal being like, no. But here, they post a picture of her on the beach with like intense cleavage. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm being hypercritical because things like this piss me off, but it's like, first of all, you say had sex with. Then you're showing a picture of a conventionally attractive woman. Are we really going to pretend that women don't have somewhat of a pass in these types of crimes? We've seen it before. Women barely get any time, and if they do, it's not really taken seriously. And most of the time, they're conventionally attractive women. I don't think all of these things are coincidences. Aside from that, there's also a picture of her being an airline attendant with like her legs in plain show, her being, again, conventionally attractive. To be noted, the main point of contention that I have with using these pictures is that they paint her as like a fun, quirky individual, which may very well be true, but when you're talking about a 15-year-old being assaulted, using pictures of someone with their cleavage out or, you know, just being a quirky flight attendant, it just doesn't seem appropriate, especially because I'm sure there were plenty of other pictures to pick from. You could have used a mugshot. Why is it that you're using these photos? What is the purpose? What kind of narrative are we trying to paint here? Are these things coincidences? Why would you use these like fun little pictures of someone who is effectively a criminal? I'm just confused by that. Like, I was very taken aback when I saw that these were the pictures they selected, specifically because they could have used a screenshot from her video call from jail. She's a conventionally attractive woman, so we're just gonna let her get away with this because she's a woman, and the antiquated thinking of like, the kid should think he's lucky or whatever disgusting comment that people make. I'm confused, disgusted. I'd like to say I'm surprised, but frankly I'm not. I think it's a first for me to see that someone spent 1 week, let that sink in, 1 week in jail for raping a 15-year-old. And let's also, I know, very annoying of me, but imagine if this had been a man raping a young girl, a 15-year-old girl. Do we think that the outcome would have been the same? I'm sorry, I don't. And it really pisses me off that male victims aren't taken as seriously, clearly shown here, and that female criminals aren't taken as seriously, also clearly shown here. This kind of double standard is so toxic and disgusting because it keeps propagating the idea that young boys automatically just want to have relations with older women, which effectively are rape because they're minors. That's just not the reality, and to act like every young man or teenager wants that is gross, and I hate it. That's all there is to it. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.